Hi, my name is Jim Tolles. I'm a spiritual teacher, and I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the difference between intuition and superstition. I think it's an important thing to be able to differentiate between because a lot of that stuff just kind of seems kind of out there and surreal to a lot of people. Intuition is always this thing that's coming from within. It's very clear, and when it's the clearest, it doesn't have an emotional charge behind it. It's just like saying the sky is blue. It's very clear about what's going on. Or it may say, you need to turn right when you're driving. You need to let go of this relationship. You need to try this new job. It's very, very clear. It doesn't necessarily have a reason behind it, which is why usually the second thing that comes in is a whole load of fear in the mind where it's like, I don't know if I can do that, or why is this, or why am I turning right, and why should I leave this relationship? I like this relationship. On and on and on and on it goes, right? And most people's intuitions have been layered by this fear, and so like that's the level that has to be cleared out to really start to hear that deeper intuition. Superstition tends to be something that is completely fear-based and is usually passed on from someone from the outside saying that if a black cat crosses your path, then you're going to have 9 years of bad luck or something ridiculous like that. And it has no foundation in the current moment, okay? That's another really big difference. Is intuition is founded in the current moment. And generally speaking, when intuitions are the clearest for me and when they come, the most urgent, they're in this moment, they're about what this moment is. And it's not really trying to get lost in future projections or anything like that. As people grow with their intuition and their ability to see things, then you can get some glimpses of where the road you're on is going, that kind of sense of the future. But generally speaking, very present moment oriented, not trying to scare you into doing anything. It has no control over you. Superstition is fear-based and will try to control you. It's a very different feeling. It can be really disgusting once you start to tune into it. But that's part of the reason why I talk about having a spiritual practice and doing your work and knowing your fears and knowing yourself. Because the more you clear that out, the more clear it becomes how disgusting superstition is and how useless and mindless it really is, where it's just trying to like scare you and protect you in some sort of way, but it's not really appropriate. As I said, going back to the black cat metaphor, is like, what difference does it make if a cat walks in front of you that's black? None. Nothing's really happening, and so that type of stuff really isn't helpful to most people, and it just gets you entrapped in more layers of fear. And there's a lot of different layers of where that kind of plays into different aspects of life, and so anywhere you see that sort of superstitious, I shouldn't do this or this bad outcome will come, then start to pause and start to look at it and start to be with it, right? This is that bringing awareness back into the equation, and that's the best way to deal with most fear, is just to start to look at it and say, what am I actually afraid of happening? What's gonna go wrong that I'm so scared of? Am I afraid of feeling uncomfortable? Right? That's a big one. It's part of the reason why when somebody breaks up in a relationship, they don't want to see the other person. They actually aren't afraid of seeing the other person. They're afraid of the uncomfortable feelings inside of themselves. So that type of stuff is like, what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of being uncomfortable. I'm afraid of being hurt in some way. What is this? What is the programming coming from? Because the superstition can be this kind of program that's usually been passed on from other people, often family or friends, about these negative things that are going to happen. And that's another thing. Is like superstition is generally very negative based. It's not usually telling you, how beautiful things are going to be in life. It's like telling you all the things are going to go wrong if you do the wrong thing, right? So we're in the right or wrong duality, positive, negative sort of polarity. And when you get stuck down in that, you can't see anything. And so intuition, as I said, it's a step underneath or a step above, it's kind of both, right? It's that paradox. And it doesn't see the world in those terms. It doesn't see necessarily in positive or negative. It just sees the world in motion. And occasionally you get deeper glimpses of yourself. And the more work that you do to open that space in yourself, the clearer it becomes what's going on. And you're like, oh, I do need to just go right. Versus like, superstition saying, you have to go right because going left, something terrible is going to happen to you when you go down that road. And it's not to say that intuition won't necessarily have a sense of what's coming. right? But it's usually that fear that we still have inside of ourselves that will layer back on. It's like, oh, something bad is coming, right? When it starts to say that something is heading your way, right? You have that sense that there's this kind of discomfort that may come into your life, right? But the fear jumps on top, and then that clouds the intuition, and then you get more scared about what's going on. And one of the things that I talk about with people who are very intuitive naturally, and intuition I use as a term that encompasses psychic awareness, and psychic awareness I believe I've talked in another video, but essentially that's just your ability to kind of see broader and see into different people to different levels and potentially connect to the spirit plane. It's different for everyone. It's a broad term, as I said, when I use it. But when I talk to people who are very intuitive, it's just look into this feeling, come back into this feeling. What is this saying? And just let go of that fear on top of it. The more intuitive you get, the more you want to be able to just allow what you're seeing. If you see storm clouds coming, right? You see storm clouds coming. But, the ego wants to run on top. Oh, it's going to be horrible. There's going to be thunder and lightning and rain and stuff. And maybe there will be. But, that sort of fear doesn't help you at all. And to really accept these gifts means that you have to start to accept everything that you see. And that includes what you would term positive and what you term negative. So that's a little bit about the difference between intuition and superstition. As I said, intuition, the more you work on clearing out your own fears, it's just very clear, very simple, very understated. Very powerful, though, because it doesn't need to make you be anyway. And superstition is always about fear and making you do things and avoiding things you don't like and all that sort of stuff wrapped up, and it's often been passed along through generations about this is why we don't do this because something bad may happen if we do, and it's nonsense, and it's actually very much gets in the way of clearly hearing intuition. So once again, my name is Jim Tolles. I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. I hope you're having a beautiful day.